Leslie. My name's Sam. Thank you so much for coming to see me today.
Not a problem. Nice to meet you.
You too. How was your day so far?
Stressful, but other than that,
Stressful?
it was good.
Okay. Before we get into the session today, I'm just going to run by our confidentiality agreement with you, just to make sure you're aware of all of the limitations that are involved with confidentiality.
Okay, sounds good.
So essentially, anything that we speak about or any notes that are taken and documentation within our sessions is all kept confidential. The only reason why there would be any exceptions to that confidentiality is if you were at risk of harm to yourself, if there was risk of harm to others, risk of harm to children as well, or if there was any legal reasons that I needed to disclose this information to a court judge or any of those sorts of things.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, so if you don't mind, can I grab your signature on the bottom of this just to give your informed consent?
Thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful. Amazing. And if it's okay with you, are you happy for me to take some notes as we go through the session today?
Sure. Yeah, not a problem.
Awesome. Just gives me something to reflect back on. And if I've got any key points that I would really like to go back through with you, it just gives me a little point of reference as well.
Okay, sounds good.
Beautiful. To get us started, do you want to talk me through what has brought you in today?
Yeah, definitely. I actually got made redundant from my old job about 6 months ago, which was quite difficult. I was with the company for about 5 years.
Yep.
And got a new job pretty much straight away at another company, pretty much similar to what I did beforehand as well.
What were you doing?
So
what are you doing?
I was managing a menswear store.
Yep.
So it was pretty straightforward. I was with that company for about 5 years and then got made redundant because the company was shutting down and went broke.
Wow.
And then got hired by another menswear store pretty much 2 weeks after we found out we were going to lose our jobs. So
that was quick.
It was quick, which was good. I thought it was going to be a lot more stressful than that. But ever since going to that new company and figuring out what their culture is like, it's actually been very, very stressful. So
okay, not what you thought it was going to be.
Not at all.
Yeah, wow. Talk me through the previous job that you were in, the first menswear company.
Yeah, so started when I was 16, and I was actually, wanting to find a job in between uni as well, so I could earn some money. And then it turned out I actually really enjoyed doing that. So once I graduated uni, I thought I'd, try managing. And I got promoted and did that for about 2 years.
Yep.
And then, got made redundant, and I still love it, so.
Yeah, wow, that must have been devastating when they said they were closing the doors.
Yeah, definitely.
How did you take that?
Not very well.
Not very well?
I think no one took it well, so it definitely came out of nowhere.
Yep.
So it was very difficult to take in, so.
It's the time we live in at the moment, isn't it? Everything's quite tough, especially in retail.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, awesome. So what part of this new role has been really challenging for you, given that it is in a similar sort of environment?
I think going from what I was used to before, which, we had a very strong work culture.
Yep.
So we were all tightly knitted as like a family.
Yep.
And we all got to know each other very well, and everyone was willing to help each other out if we needed something from another store. And now coming into this company that I'm at now, it's complete opposite. So I feel like there's, a very toxic culture between the staff.
Okay.
And I feel like management are aware about it, but they're not really doing anything about it to, solve the problem and try and find a solution for it. So.
Is it more of a competitive environment, would you say? Or?
It is more competitive, but I feel like there's just a lot more behind it, to the point where it might even be bullying as well. So it's very stressful and definitely not what I was expecting. Yeah,
so you've gone from this really tight-knit sort of family unit company into somewhere that's really quite the opposite, and that you feel like you're saying you might even be suffering some bullying in the workplace.
Yeah, exactly. It's quite tough.
Talk me through how your first couple of weeks were in this new role.
I think the first couple of weeks were very overwhelming, but
you were with that company for so long. That's understandable.
Yeah. So the first couple of weeks I had a lot to take in. I was still really excited about the role because I'd heard about this menswear brand before. I had shopped with them previously, so I knew what I was doing. It wasn't like I was out of my depth. but then as weeks went on, I wasn't getting enough training and
Okay.
development that they promised. So I was just falling behind and just really just drowning and didn't have anyone to help me out. So
Yeah.
I found that quite difficult to take in
Yeah.
because I like being the best at everything.
As we all do.
Yeah, and to go into a company like that and be thrown to the deep end
Yeah.
and not really be helped at all is quite frustrating.
Yeah. So in the company that you were in previously, what would be your process if you were having difficulties?
There's actually a formal process. So I'd get top-down support from my area manager
Yeah.
and figure out where the problem is and what they can do to help me out and get me through those problems, and whether there's anything else that can be done, and whether it's the employees or whether it's anything else that's causing the problems.
Yeah.
They find the root of the problem and solve it. So.
Yeah. And what's the difference now to how this new company is dealing with things?
I feel like this company has just no structure whatsoever with
Okay.
regards to solving problems or
Yeah.
just getting things sorted. There's no structure whatsoever.
Yeah. And you said that you were studying as well before you became a manager.
Yeah.
Talk me through that.
So I studied for about 4 years and did a Bachelor of Business and studied Human Resources.
Oh
So
wow, that's incredible.
yeah, so that was actually quite interesting.
Yeah.
Now that I'm managing a menswear store, I'm doing part of that HR. I'm
Yeah.
using that degree and noticing obviously the culture differences and how you have to manage different employees because everyone's different in the way they take in feedback. So it was very interesting to see the change between the two companies.
And having that HR background as well, you'd be so much more aware of what you should expect
100%.
as well. So what was that like going into somewhere that was the complete opposite of what you've been trained to look for?
Yeah, look, it was very eye-opening. I did not realise that it happened so much in one company.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the management do know about the problems, but they're not really willing to fix it.
Okay.
So that was a little bit frustrating. I think they're just more focused on, making money and just pushing the rest aside because at the moment money is just going to keep the company going.
Yeah. Wow.
So.
And in comparing them to the previous company, what do you think their main goal was?
Look, I think their main goal was definitely to make money, but at the same time, they had a different approach with regards to how they treated their staff, to ensure that there was no sort of bullying going on, there was no gossip going on.
Yeah, wow.
So it was actually...
They took more of a people approach,
100%.
did they? Yeah.
Yeah, they put us first. So that was really reassuring, really nice to see. So.
Does it make you want to get up and go to work for someone when they're like that?
Yeah, you know what, I feel like I've lost so much of my motivation to get out of bed and go to work. I feel like I'm not really enjoying work anymore. And it's just affecting not only my performance at work, but my personal life as well. So.
Yeah, definitely. Talk me through the effects that it's had on your personal life.
I just find it really hard to get out of bed and just be excited about work.
Yeah.
I used to get that when I was with my last company.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I get home from work and I'm just ready to have dinner and just go straight to bed because I feel like I'm just going to be doing the same thing over and over again.
Like a Groundhog Day experience almost.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't go to the gym as much as I used to because I'm just way too exhausted from work. Not because I've been doing a lot of work, but because I'm just having to deal with a lot of added stress from staff or not getting enough support from my managers or bullying or gossiping. So.
Do you feel like you're kind of almost juggling 10 things at once?
Pretty much. So much unnecessary stuff that I'm juggling.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely. And talk me through how has that been bringing that home? Do you have someone at home that you're bringing that to, or?
Yeah, I do. I've got my girlfriend, but unfortunately, I do take a lot of it out on her, and I think, I tend to forget that it's not her problems, and I need to not get upset so quickly. So I think it does take a strain on the relationship. So.
Yeah, definitely. Does she is she aware of the sort of things that you've been dealing with and the feelings you've been having about this?
Yeah, definitely. I think she understands, where I'm coming from because she's been in a similar role before with a similar situation. So it's really nice to know that she can understand what's going on in the company that I'm in. So
Yeah.
It's definitely reassuring that.
So you do have that support network at home then?
100%.
Yeah. Which definitely makes a difference. It doesn't necessarily make the work life easier, but at least then when you're coming home, you've got that person there that understands, like you said, what you've been going through.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
I find it so important to actually have the support and, not getting it from work, but I'm actually getting it from my girlfriend.
Yeah.
So I think that's really good.
Exactly. So when you look at the job that you're doing now, if you had to break it down into specifics, what specifically is really impacting you? What part of it is really making you not want to get out of bed in the morning?
Well, I think, I took a pay cut when I went from my last company to this company. Which wasn't really a big issue because I thought I'd actually enjoy it a lot more. But I've been feeling really undervalued and not really getting appreciated for all the work that I do. I stay back more than I'm required. Like I'm normally rostered on to do 30 hours a week, but I end up staying about 45 hours a week and don't really get noticed for it. And when we don't get the results that's required, we get put down even more instead of motivating us to do better.
Okay. So if you say didn't make your targets for the week, what would be the result of that with your employer?
We'd pretty much get an email or a phone call going, what happened last week? Why didn't you make money? Is there something in your store that's not doing well, or is there a particular staff member that's not doing well? Can we fix it? But at the same time, I feel like it's meant to be a rhetorical question from their end.
Okay.
So they're not really wanting us to tell them if there's a problem. They want us to fix it without getting any support from anyone else.
Okay.
So
they basically ask you what the problem is without giving you any sort of help to get the solution.
Pretty much goes around in circles.
Yeah. Wow. And how do your staff respond to this as well? What's your staff or team like?
My staff are actually really good. I think they used to be really involved with all of that gossiping that was going on in the company, but I think since I started there, it's pretty much been pushed out of our store.
That's good.
Because I don't tolerate any of that.
Yeah.
I think team will understand that it's not just for their benefit, but also for the store's benefit. To enjoy coming to work. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's
Have you
why.
found that they've responded well to that sort of attitude you've had, that you're not going to tolerate that sort of
Yeah,
behaviour?
100%. I think they really do appreciate that. I don't think they expected me to have that kind of approach.
It sounds like they wouldn't be used to it.
Yeah, because a lot of other stores, they take pride in that, and they feel like it's part of the norm, it's part of the culture. To have that little bit of gossip and forget about work for a little bit and let's talk about someone else in the company. So.
Okay. What sort of things would they be speaking about? Have you ever?
I actually had people talk about me behind my back about me wanting to leave the company, or that I've spoken badly about my area manager.
Okay.
But, it's true, and I don't know where it's coming from. So, it's just a little bit frustrating.
Yeah. And you've only been in the company for 6 months.
6 months, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit strange that they would be starting to say those sorts of
whatever
things.
keeps the ball rolling, I guess. So,
Yeah. Do you think that maybe it's coming from a jealous perspective because you did have such a great environment beforehand?
It could be, but I also think it's because they're just bored and they just want something else to talk about. And I could be an easy target because I'm new to the company.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
From our sessions, what is your main goal? What would you like to get out of this experience?
Look, I think the one thing that I want to get out of it is to go back to what my life was before joining the company, not being so stressed with work.
Yeah.
Being able to go to the gym again and have a good work-life balance, and not have to worry about work on my days off and checking my phone and worrying about how the store's doing for the day, and just really focus on just doing well for my store, getting the support that I need, and dealing with stress well.
Yeah, definitely. And these are all things that we can definitely work on together.
Yeah.
You mentioned wanting to get back into the gym. Is that something that you're quite passionate about health-wise?
Yeah, definitely. I think I started gym probably about 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And been getting really into it and actually really enjoy. I feel like it's my stress relief.
Yeah, exercise
from
is a
work.
great stress relief.
So, yeah.
Definitely. Do you feel that your mental health has taken a decline since you haven't been able to get to the gym with work?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like I get a little bit more agitated and frustrated quicker
Yep.
as well, because that's, like I said, gym is kind of my stress relief.
Yeah.
And not going as often as I normally would. I used to do 5 days a week and now I barely get 2 days a week. So yeah, it's really taken me back.
Yeah, wow.
So.
And what has made you sort of decrease your physical exercise with the new job?
I think it's just being really exhausted from just dealing with everything that's going on at work and not getting the support that I need, working more than I'm, supposed to be,
All the
not
overtime.
not getting paid for the overtime.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just so exhausting and so tiring.
Yep. In your previous job, were you only doing your, say, 38 hours?
Yeah, I was only doing 38 hours because I was not required to do any more than that because, it was very structured and everything had a process and it worked so well for that company. And coming to a company like this that I am now, there's no structure whatsoever in any situation. There's no real protocol. If anyone breaks a rule, let's just say, they don't get reprimanded for it. So it is frustrating.
Yep. So in your own store, if one of your team members was to break the rules, what would you be doing? Would that mean that they would be able to get away with things as well, or?
Not with me. I'm really straightforward with my staff, and they know that if they do mess up, that I do expect them to admit it. And at the end of the day, they have to accept their own responsibility.
Yeah. So creating that little structure within your own space.
100%.
Definitely.
But I feel like every other store or every other person that works in the company doesn't really like to follow that. So.
Yeah. And do you think that's coming from higher up, from your experience?
I don't think so, but I feel they do have an influence on what's going on in their stores, and they do know that there is something going on, but